Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the GYST Method Show. I am, of course, your host, Nicole Gerard, and today I am joined by special guest, Laura Moon from Bare Slate. Laura, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So I've asked Laura to come on and speak to us today because Laura has a really interesting story, having survived sort of the corporate world, and I think she brings some really great insights into what leadership is, can be, and has the potential to be, which is why I've asked you to be here, Laura. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm excited.
So the first thing I want to do is I want you, in your own words, just to tell our audience a little bit about yourself, what you do, who you are, where you've been, all the good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I spent a lifetime already in automotive. And survived, I suppose, as a female in that industry. When I started selling vehicles, I was the only salesperson on the sales floor for Acura in the country. And I ended my career managing a fairly large Toyota dealership. So I was able to learn along the way everything that there is to know in that industry specific. From inventory management control to human resources, as well as working with building a lot of training programs and modules to implement at the dealer level.
Nice.
So
and you spent how long doing that?
It was around 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So then, what do you think your biggest insight or learning was that you took from that while you were there?
Oh my gosh, I learned so much on that journey. I was fortunate enough, I think, because I had a very progressive dealer principal, who allowed me to really learn and grow in every capacity in the industry. I'm a life learner. One of the reasons I left was because I felt like I had stopped learning and stopped growing. So to answer that question, I mean, there were just so many things. I think it's just really the being resilient and keeping an optimistic outlook for the future that really helped me grow and thrive in that environment.
Nice. Well, when you say resilient, I think that's interesting. Love that. You know, we're all about resilience here.
Yeah.
In what way did you have to keep resilient in that particular environment?
I think that when you put yourself, I mean, it was really funny. I was facilitating a workshop last week at a real estate agency. And I walked into the room and I said, okay, before we even start, I know what it's like to be hated before you're even known. And it was one of the most hated industries. It is one of the most hated industries. When you think about the fact that I don't know anyone who says, oh, I need to go and buy a car, I'm so excited. It just doesn't happen.
That's fair.
And so to be able to adjust your mindset to adapt to that, I guess, misconception of who you are, and especially being a female in that management role, the number of times I heard, can you get the boss now, please?
Oh.
You know,
Oops.
that would be me.
I'm here.
So you really have to start to create strategies to help you stay resilient and motivated and have the right attitude and be able to adjust to the environments that you're in and the personalities that you're working with, you know. Such a diverse collection of staff.
Right.
I mean, the employees that I had at the end, was managing 100 employees of very diverse backgrounds. So just recognizing differences in individuals, understanding those differences, and recognizing that your attitude really is what contributes to your ability to grow in an environment. Yeah,
definitely. I love that.
Answered your question.
No, you did. Absolutely. The next question that comes to mind, we're going a little bit off the questions I wanted to ask you, but I think this is good. It's important. So when you say that you sort of developed ways to keep your mindset right and to keep focused on the things that matter to be resilient, was that something that you were taught, that the organization helped you learn, or is that something that you sort of put together yourself?
So I think there are a lot of resources available to people to help them get through situations that are challenging, for sure. a lot for myself was self-taught.
Okay.
And one of the things that I'm working on that I think is really, really important to be able to provide people with actionable items to bring into their workplace or to bring into their life in general, instead of working with people in theory,
Yes.
but actually bringing them something that they can practice every day in a way that makes sense in their life, to be able to adapt to the changes that are in front of us. So short answer is a lot of it I did teach myself, and I was involved with building a lot of programs that speak to that, as far as, I'll call them soft skills.
Okay.
And they were more directed at that time in the industry to customer service representatives. Not as much. I mean, the sales teams always got the most training because they were the revenue stream to the organization.
Sure.
But I tried to bring that into everyone in the role, from custodian to shuttle driver to mechanic to service advisor to parts advisor, because I believe that the soft skills are very important for everyone to learn and have access to understand.
Yeah.
So for the average person, I think they would have a hard time finding the resources available or knowing that they were available. And one of my goals in life is to bring those out in the forefront so that they are easily accessible.
So tell me a little bit about the team that you had before you came in and after. Like, what was the culture, the camaraderie, the sort of mindset of the team before you were there, and then after you brought this new mindset to the team? I suspect there was a change.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I made the shift to management in the organization, I came in at mid-level management, and I worked very closely. We were one of the first dealers in the country to implement a human resources department.
Wow.
So I worked really closely with the head of human resources, and that's when I evolved into training manager and started creating these types of programs to roll out. And our goal really was to have stronger communication across the board, have training available to everyone that would allow them all to grow in their roles. And definitely there was a lot of resistance. I mean, I had to really push through with especially more of the technical individuals, the mechanics that just didn't think it mattered.
Didn't see the correlation between the two?
Yeah, so there was definitely a lot of resistance there, but it was one or two workshops in and they were like, this is great.
Excellent.
They didn't know what they were missing. They didn't understand that the way they communicated with a service advisor, the information that was wrong with a vehicle or something that was happening, that service advisor could then in return communicate in the same language to the customer, to the end user.
Nice.
And you could see that once that communication started to flow and it was transparent and they were more comfortable in communicating, the business came, more work came.
Yep.
And all of a sudden they started to see the value in, why it's important to maintain a good attitude and have really fierce conversations and work on personal growth and development from a soft skills perspective.
I think it's so especially valuable that you're bringing this to the forefront in what you used to do, because I don't think a lot of individuals would think that talking about the quality of your culture and the mindset and the importance of training everyone in the automotive industry would correlate to the bottom line, how well everyone's doing, the mindset of everyone as a whole. I think that's really important.
Yeah. And I mean, I have to say Toyota, I finished with Toyota. Toyota is one of, if not the top, as far as being very proactive and progressive with bringing that type of training into a dealer environment.
That's awesome.
I can say that not every manufacturer still, they don't see the big picture today, but I've definitely seen a shift. I mean, prior to automotive, I worked in hospitality management, and coming out of a large organization, I worked with a Sheridan, and coming out of a large organization that had a tremendous focus on customer service, and walking into the automotive industry, which had absolutely no focus on customer service,
right?
To first of all, I was blindsided with the lack of customer service, especially since it's all about the consumer.
Right.
It just, the common sense was missing for me. But watching that transition in that industry and grow in that industry, I have to say, most of the work that I do now is not necessarily specific to that industry.
Right.
One of the things that was a real eye-opener for me when I left that industry and stepped out into the world of diverse businesses, small to medium, that a lot of the business practice is very much the same. And a lot of the skills that are required are very much the same. It's just a product being sold and a service being sold.
By people.
And that really translated into any business.
Yeah. And I love that you're transitioning to that, because that's actually my next question. So a moment ago, you mentioned bringing in sort of that mindset shift and training, and you said the fierce conversations, which I know is something that you offer with your new organization, which is Bare Slate.
Yes.
So maybe let's talk a little bit about that. So how did you come to opening your own training organization? How did you come to doing this offering for different types of industries and businesses?
Yeah, well, I reached a point where I wanted to sort of expand and grow.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to be able to take the skills that I had developed and learned over the years and bring them to organizations that were small, that couldn't necessarily afford it.
Mm-hmm.
Because training is an expense. At least that's how it's perceived, and still to this day, it's still perceived as an expense.
Mm-hmm. As opposed to
talk
an
all day about that.
Yeah.
But I felt that it was really important, especially at a time when we have so much transition in the world, and there's a lot of millennials coming into the workforce. There are a lot of organizations that will be for sale that don't have successors.
Right.
And I felt that it was really important for these organizations to really look at the foundation of what they're built on, and to be able to have the tools to have something that is of value. A lot of companies I've worked for since I had stepped out of automotive are businesses that have been in business for 20, 30 years. They're not all entrepreneurs and still lack the foundations for growth and success, and also for succession. So who's going to be stepping into the roles, and what does that look like? So it evolved. It's the life of an entrepreneur, as we all know, is an extreme roller coaster.
Yep.
We have the highs and lows.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of fantastic people support me on my journey, such as yourself. Thank you. I mean, we've had many conversations that have been very powerful for me. And just looking for support in others has really help guide sort of the direction of the business. The Bare Slate is basically built on a foundation that we are a collective of corporate refugees who want to do good work with good people.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to provide the tools to individuals who want to learn and grow.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of flex in my rates as far as the programs that I do offer. Fierce Conversations is a program designed by Susan Scott. If you have not read her books, you should read her books.
Yeah.
She is absolutely brilliant. We facilitate a program called Fierce Conversations with C-suite organizations. So it's more of a senior leader level workshop that focuses on transparent communication, how to have an honest conversation that is positive.
Which I think is really important, obviously. And as you've just described, by keeping that focus throughout your career and throughout your journey, you've seen the success, both personally, culturally, and then financially for the business all come together.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. And I think maybe a lot of leaders are afraid to be transparent, just because up until now, leaders are supposed to know all the answers, be able to do it by themselves. They don't need to ask for help. The ego and the fear kind of fight with each other. And you and I both know that as soon as you're able to sort of let that go, that's when the magic happens.
Yeah, I mean, the greatest rewards in my life, and I've said it a million times, the joy that you get by building great leaders is like nothing you'll ever experience.
It's true.
I was in a role that I had the opportunity to hire, coach, groom, and really raise individuals to their highest performance ability. And some of the fellows I've worked with are running dealerships now, and
it's amazing.
It's one of the best feelings in the world. I believe that one thing that will kill your career is greed, and not being able to share and not looking for growth in individuals as a leader. I think that is a critical skill that we need to have in a leadership role.
It's an excellent point.
Yeah.
Excellent point. And I think that brings up my next question, which is, of course, on the GYST Method Show. We want to talk about your GYST moment. And we know there is one because you made the leap from a corporate-based career and stepping out on your own. So what happened in the middle?
Yeah, well, a lot happened in the middle. I mean, I think one of the things, and if I relate it very specifically to the GYST concept, is that, when you start to break down and simplify really the core, what's at the core of sustaining not just yourself, but a business that you're trying to build, is really identifying and looking at things like pre-resilience, which is something that you talk about. Looking at stress management. How am I managing the stress that I'm putting myself under, and actually learning how to step outside of that and look at it from a different perspective. Feedback, soliciting feedback on an ongoing basis. These are all really critical steps in building an organization that has a strong foundation. And I think one of the things that's really important, and especially to your clients, is that they pay attention to the topics. The topics are there for a reason. And those are the things that will ground you when you're drowning. Those are the things that will help you find calm in the chaos of your day, because there will be calm and there will be chaos. And both are equally challenging to manage.
Yes, so oftentimes within minutes of each other.
Right? So it's really just a question of having the ability to step back, or having something to prompt you to think in a different manner. My aha moment, I have an aha moment at least every fifth day, where I realize,
say every 45 minutes, but okay.
I need to ground myself and really step back and look at those core categories. Am I being honest to myself? Am I 100% committed to continue with this? And what is it going to take for me to keep that up? Because you do need to have a lot of self-reliance. And you do need to plan for resilience. There's a lot to look at. And if you think that you can just sort of fly through it without really having to focus on those really core concepts, you won't make it.
So you won't make it. How do you plan then?
Well, gosh, I'm a quick start. So I'm not great with planning. I surround myself with individuals who hold me accountable to myself. I also put a lot of different measures in place. I am a very big believer in artificial intelligence support. I have, Google and Alexa and Siri all set to remind me to do certain things at different times.
Excellent.
So I'm very proactive as far as setting triggers for myself, for reminders to step back and say, have you addressed your core values today? Have you been true to your creed? What is it that you're like, as far as future learnings, and setting really strong, hard timelines to myself to say, here's the topic, here's the goal, here's the why, stay to it, and setting reminders for myself to do that. So again, I am terrible at that, but I have actually been really good as far as using resources to help me be better.
I was just going to say, I think that's actually something that's so key that a lot of leaders can pick up from, because what I really admire about you, I really admire about you, is that you know who you are.
Oh yeah.
You know your strengths. You know that you're not great at planning, but your other strengths are getting things started and getting teams rallied and bought in and getting everything off, right?
Yes.
but you also recognize and have the ability to see yourself in that, okay, and here are the areas that I'm going to struggle. I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to hack my life. I'm going to put these measures in place to give me the best chance possible of succeeding. And I think it takes a lot for a leader to admit that and then promote it and do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like those little secrets. How are you successful? Well, guess what? Here's my strength. Here's my weakness. I'm not going to waste time trying to make this strong. I'm just going to make sure it's taken care of.
Oh yeah. Never
Smart.
waste time improving a weakness. There's
Very
just no
smart.
point when you can make a strength phenomenal. So,
or if you find someone that's their strength.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Let them live their best life and be a great planner.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Working in diversity, recognizing differences is really one of the greatest rewards in life. When you can start to identify what your unique abilities are, what playground you like to play in the best, and really start to live in that world and delegate the rest. It's okay to delegate.
Yes.
You know, because often what you're delegating is what someone else enjoys doing.
Exactly. I think we forget
understanding is critical.
Because we know what we love to do. We love as leaders what we are good at and what we're focused on. And we forget to delegate the stuff we're not really good at, forgetting that someone else loves doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And they're great at it and it fulfills them and they get into their flow, and don't keep that from someone. I guess is the opposite encouragement of you should delegate, but let someone do their best work.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great point.
Yeah, for sure.
So Laura, the next time you find yourself in the aha moment, so you have one every 5 days.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
How do you recognize it? And what are the little things you do? You talked a bit, which I appreciate, about that resilience and having the resilience to keep going. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to commit to it. How do you work up that muscle, build that habit?
So there are a couple strategies you can use. One that I find very helpful is I have what I call a priority chart.
Okay.
So when I have an aha moment, it's generally because of an idea that's prompted something that I want to take action on, and which I have no shortage of. And when that happens, I add it to a list of other aha moments that I've had over my lifetime, which is actually getting quite long, that I revisit every week to 2 weeks at the most. And then I sit and start to prioritize. So I've got them classified by category, and then sort of timelines. When is this a reasonable expectation? And when I go back, by doing that, by documenting your aha moments, you can then step back and see whether or not they're going to be persistent, right? Some people, I think because I am a quick start, and I know that you also like a lot of action, you probably find yourself having more aha moments than someone who might be more of a researcher. Right. And by creating a log of those aha moments and recognizing the strength in them, the ones that are very powerful will continue to move to the top. And the other ones, they may not seem as relevant, but over time they can move to the top.
Right.
So always document them.
That's a great tip, actually. Because then I think for individuals that do have a lot of these great insights and ideas, when we don't document them, we then look back and think, oh God, I lost it. I forgot it or something. It's not quite right.
Well, what do we know? Where's the worst place to store information?
Oh, I don't know what you're going to say.
Up here.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Up here. Right?
You're right.
But where do we all naturally store it?
You're absolutely right.
Remember. I know that.
I'll remember. Don't worry.
No, you don't. Write it down.
True.
Write it down.
You're absolutely right.
It's not that hard.
Yeah. Even if it's a quick note in your phones, like for a lot of us that want digital, fine. But I too make a lot of lists. I like things on paper. Even though I'm all about digital leadership, there's still something about writing certain things down, which I think there's a benefit to, which is great.
Yeah, and it totally depends on your learning style, right? Exactly. We're all very different. Some of us learn by pictures, some of us learn in color, some of us learn in words. It's understanding how you retain information is also critical. I guarantee you, though, by writing it down, it makes it real.
Absolutely. I love that you said that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So the final thing I want to ask you before I let you go is, with Bare Slate, in the position you find yourself in now, how are you working on unleashing the potential of Bare Slate as a leader?
Yeah. So many different ways.
Good.
Every ounce of my existence has sales DNA in it. I am constantly talking about how people need to find their unique abilities and how to live in that strength, and how to validate who they are, so that they have the confidence to move forward in life, in any capacity. And for me, I think one of the things, or at least one thing that I do that's very consistent, because you need consistency, is I facilitate workshops every Wednesday.
Yep.
Out of my office space from 10 to 12. It's free.
Perfect.
I call them synergy workshops. I believe that the more that we can collectively share, the more we'll grow together and the stronger the workshop is. And the workshops that I host cover 10 core different skills. So they're all soft skills, whether it's communication, time management, adaptability, attitude. And I'm just really trying to bring people together, like-minded people that want to grow, to start to look at the world from a different perspective. So that's one way that I bring that out. And then I also work with a lot of younger millennial females. I have what's called a leadership strategy program, because I believe that, with the transition in our workforce, that both either senior managers that are managing millennials need to understand that, but also for a female millennial that's in the workforce, whether they're in a management role or not, they really do need to understand the dynamics and how to live in the workforce. And I wanted to be able to bring that to that group of individuals specifically.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you're literally bringing your life experience, having been a female in the workforce, especially reaching the levels that you did with your career, to the younger generation, we'll say it.
Yeah, no,
which is fantastic. It's
absolutely,
so
yeah, and it's really interesting. It's very interesting work for me. There's a lot of patterns in the female millennial, and there's a lot of greatness in a lot of people in this world.
There sure is.
I'm a firm believer that if you want to be whatever you want to be, you can be with the right support. So.
I love that, and the right mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, don't bother.
There you go. Awesome. Well, Laura, I want to thank you so much. I will have you back on again for sure, but thank you for your time today. I will make sure to have all of your information so that people can contact you. They'll find out about the workshop, where to go and how to get there, your website and all of your social media. But for those that might be looking for you right away, where can they easily find you?
So if you go to my website, all of my information is there. You can book directly appointment with me in my calendar.
Perfect. And that's bareslate.com.
The workshop information is there as well. So it's bareslate.ca.
.ca.
Bareslate.ca. Or you can call me, 416-953-0416. I'll always answer the phone.
You're amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Absolutely. So for everyone else listening, for those of you watching, all the information is in the description box below, and we'll see you again next time.